Holbrook New Media.
Greetings, welcome to the Holbrook New Media audio feed. We do audio, video, content creation, and that other stuff. holbrooknewmedia.com. Today on episode 16 of the Geoff and Jeffrey Show, here are some of the things we are talking about. Blab.im has died a quiet death, leaving us orphans, but Geoff, being the fancy video expert, has set us up using Wirecast and Skype. This gives new versatility, improves both the audio and video, and streams live on YouTube at the same time. Jeffrey is thrilled with the launch of a friend's podcast that he helped with. It has amazing sound and great content. Check it out. remnantbiblefellowship.libsyn.com. YouTube is inconsistent in enforcing the copyright laws sometimes. And of course,
I was thinking of going to the keyboard and doing my rendition of Take Me Home Country Road.
John there you go. Perfect.
It just should be our theme tune, but I'm always scared that you get done for copyright. But as I said, everybody else plays their musical instruments and sings and that on there. But I thought that would shock people. So
yeah. If you would like to receive the show notes in your email with links for things mentioned in episodes, go to holbrooknewmedia.com. On the right side of the page, there is a place to subscribe to the blog. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the all-new weekly catch-up. Well, Mr. Holbrook. Here is my co-host, yes. Mr. Holbrook, in an all-new weekly catch-up. Well, I've just realised I've got to change the intro because it was showing us on the Blab, so maybe that can be a bit of nostalgia for future generations, sure. And that's...
Yeah, this is definitely a transitional episode, no question. Number 16, actually.
Well, and the great thing with... Oh, number 16, I'm glad you mentioned that. I got all excited with doing our lower thirds. And next week I might be able to figure out how to switch them on and off without having them there all the time. But for this week, we'll just put up with what we've got this. And so hopefully it will turn out okay. But for those of you who, I think the eight people who have watched the show, said, if you're wondering about it again, it's we used to host this on Blab, but Blab just went belly up. When was it on the weekend, was it? Or when did it actually happen?
Yeah, it actually happened. I believe it was on Saturday because I was at work and then I came home. Well, I just happened to see something on Facebook on friends just chatting. I'm in their Facebook group, and then all of a sudden, that's the guys I always talk to before I was coming into the show, and so they said it was gone, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I came home in the morning and checked, and whenever I got off from work, and it was just gone, and they actually have an explanation of why it didn't work out, and an analysis of what was going on. But like you say, it was just very, very suddenly over. Everybody thought it might be. But, it just kind of went all at once without a whimper.
Yes, well, it was quite a simple because, when that Blab started up, and that's how me and you met up, was on Blab just when it first sort of started up. And it was quite addictive, and we said, well, it's in beta. When's that going to run out of beta? Now we've got the answer. It's run out of the beta, but just run out. It's just totally gone. That's the only thing is. It
is in between running out and expiring.
And I suppose there's tons of people was using it, but the problem is, yes, that's great if there's tons of people using it, but I, for myself, couldn't see any way we're making any money out of it. So it must be a bottomless pit.
What they wanted was a video version of Facebook, I think. I've heard some analysis on it, but I think they wanted a video version of Facebook where people could just meet up, and I'm assuming they would eventually have advertising that would pop up or whatever. But the idea of everybody doing shows, what they wanted was somebody on Facebook, people are on there every single day. And one of the things that they were talking about on their little announcement was that it was being mostly used, and there were people who were on there, some people 5 or 6 hours every day while they were working or whatever was happening. But then there was the vast majority of people started using it for shows, and you were on there 1 or 2 hours once a week. And that's what they said kind of killed it, was the fact that people were not spending enough time on it, and it was just being used for the shows. And that's why they kind of turned on the show creators instead of people who were going to be there just chatting on there every day.
Oh, so we killed it.
We killed it.
But I suppose that was one of the reasons why we started doing a weekly show, was because when we didn't do it, we was spending 3 or 4 hours chatting with all people, and you just get carried away, and we just said, no, let's just catch up once a week, and let's make you say, hey, why don't we do a little bit of a show? So,
well, yeah, just kind of like self-defense. That way we could set an hour, because it's a show now, so we could just do it for an hour. And because neither of us had the time to do it 3 hours a day, or, even once a week, we don't have time for that. So the hour, it was basically self-defense, but it turned out that we have absolutely no trouble filling an hour with some chat. No. And there we go. But anyway, I guess, like you say, we killed it. So now we've been sent to Skype.
Well, but the thing is, with Skype and the way we're going to do it now, we could do all sorts of things, because I can introduce video clips, whatever you send in, and we can include, because we're on Blab, we could show a little bit, but it's very hard to see because it would break it up into my screen or your screen, and even then that was half size of the screen anyway, whereas this one, we can use the full screen with the video, and we can have the full proper sound on that. So, and, as long as we don't do the copyright thing, because it will be sort of our content or whatever on there. So I'm just wondering how my system will hold up, and whether the sound's going to be peaking or whatever, because I'm using Wirecast, and it's saying I'm using 89% of the CPU to do this. Oh, wow. So you might want to even go, if you can get back into that the YouTube, have a look on there, because I think people can say things on the chat. I'm not too sure if you can see that. So, because I think people can.
Let me go back into that then.
But you can see can you see your lower third from where you are? When you look at the screen.
Yes, I can see the edge of it right there. Right. Yes,
But that's what I thought. I'll set up for next week or the other weeks. We can go and get few more different things on.
Yes.
Yeah, you just mute your volume. That's right. Or else,
no, I'm not sure how to turn that down. Let me see. There we go. Yes, I can see. I can see us on the live stream, and it's like, say, it's behind.
That's the ring I used to do when we used to do it before. Was when we used to do on Ustream. You watch the stream, but have the volume turned down, and don't watch the picture. Just look at the chat. And I used to cover it over with my Skype picture, so I wasn't looking at the screen, but just looking at the comments. And I'm not too sure what you can comment, but you can comment in the live stream, but not that there's anybody there.
Yeah, I can see us. Said we started streaming 12 minutes ago, and there is a bit of a delay back behind.
I think there's about a 30 to 60 second delay maybe from when it's on, but that's not bad for the chat room if somebody does come in for that.
Oh no, but we are way clearer on this than we were on Blab.
Oh yes, I know, and that's the thing. And
wow, isn't that nice?
I just threw my earpiece away from the other ear, but now I realise that's what that will be for, is so I can listen to video clips or whatever I've got in there. But I'm not doing that this week anyway. So, and then I've just got to figure out how to keep your volume when I switch shots, because if I just switch to my shot, your volume disappears because your volume's only on that shot. I think I know how to do that now. Next week I'll put your shot, this shot on the top, and then even if I go off, I can leave you on, and then over the top of it put another clip. You see what I mean? Okay. So I think that will, because you're still active. If I put I might try this now. Let's see if I can do this. So I think if I add another FaceTime with just me, a full clip on there. Can you keep saying something, Jeffrey?
There we go. So you want to see if I'm still talking or not?
Yeah, so what I'm doing, I had to...
I'm now talking and saying things and see if you can hear me.
Yeah, you can do. So what it is that I've just had to make sure that your clip, the other shot is on the top, you see. So
Oh, I see. Okay, and on the live stream, I disappeared. Now you're zooming in on yourself.
Yep. Now you should be coming back, but I figured out how to do that. As long as I don't, if I go below your shot, if I go below the shot and do a stream, you will disappear. All the
there we go.
The audio will disappear. Back. So so it's about 30 seconds delay by the looks of it. So. On there, but as I said, it's quite a good meeting. As I said, we do look a lot clearer, and so we don't.
Oh, definitely a lot clearer, yeah.
So when I get back down into the studio, but the only thing is I'm using this through Wirecast, but using the local desktop presenter. But the local desktop presenter is only available when you're physically connected. To the modem. So I've got a cable going to this laptop that physically connects it. If I go downstairs, I'm on Wi-Fi, and I don't think I can do that. But that's a better for the studio, but I can't do that. So what I was thinking of doing, I was just playing around before I brought the green screen up, but just had somebody in today just servicing the air conditioner, and I thought, I'll set that all up here. I said, no, you idiot. The whole point of taking it down from the studio was so they could get into the air conditioner in the studio, and the air conditioner up here, so I was just going to set it up here and put it in the way up here. So I just had to leave it off for the short term anyway. So
I understand. Yeah, I am directly wired in Ethernet with the internet connection here as well, simply because it's just a whole lot better that way. Now, the one I did at my daughter's apartment, I was on their Wi-Fi. They're actually in town, and their Wi-Fi is way better than it is here, even though ours is pretty good. But I would not even attempt to do any type of video streaming at all without being directly wired in, because it is so much better than the Wi-Fi would be.
Yeah, no matter how much signal you got, no matter how strong it is, you could have half the bandwidth and it will still do better plugged in than the twice the bandwidth in Wi-Fi. But what I'm hoping to get is we'll try they've got a new version of Wirecast 7, and it would cost $179 to upgrade. Doesn't sound too bad, but then it's $249 when you convert it to Australian. And
oh wow!
So,
okay, yeah.
I'm waiting.
That doesn't sound quite as good.
No, I'm waiting till Black Friday because that's when I bought my license of Wirecast, because it was $4.99 for Wirecast. But on Black Friday, they always seem to go down to about $3.20. So it was still expensive, but I'd rather pay $3.20 than $4.99. So I'm assuming on Black Friday, there $179 might come down to $100. So might make it a little bit more attractive, because what they do have is, have you heard all the hoo-ha about NDI?
No.
Well, what the hoo-ha about NDI is network device interface. So you know how we're doing here on the desktop presenter. I've got you going through the network physically connected. Well, that's what NDI is. But the whole thing about that, it says no matter what network you've got, you don't have the latency. And as long as they're on the same network, doesn't matter wirelessly or whatever, you can pick up any camera on there. So if you've got a Skype signal or whatever, you can bring that signal in, or you can just bring, not necessarily a camera, but any signal you can bring in any PC that's on your network. So the NDI, if you've got 15 computers, well, you can actually bring them in and have them all ready to present them. So that's quite interesting, and that's what hopefully that will work, because it will do what I'm doing here, but a lot quicker than the desktop presenter. So you won't have to be physically connected. But we'll see what happens anyway, because it's all it'll all be irrelevant if none of this comes out in the recording, won't it? Because what I'm also doing now is we're going live on YouTube, but also I'm recording the program too. So here locally, so when we do stop, I've got a physical copy of it, just in case I need to fix it up and it's just something I just had to really fix up and put it back up on YouTube. But the great thing with what we've just done now is we won't have to do any more production, because it's all there. I'll do the lower thirds. We do that while we're on the show, so we don't have to produce it. Because with the Blab one, we could have just thrown it, but it was a bit bland. That's why I had to do a few things around the edges. But this sort of thing, we'll just do those things like the lower thirds while we're there. So unfortunately, we're going to leave the lower thirds this week, because I didn't even think about setting anything up like that. So we'll set them up next week on a different shot. So what we do with that, we copy this shot, and then I just take the lower thirds off it, and then go to that one. Or else you can put the lower thirds at the top and just switch them on. But sometimes that can be...
I see.
So you put it on the higher layer. I could just put the lower thirds on the higher layer and then just switch them on occasionally and then switch them off. So,
Okay.
but at the moment we'll just...
No, I can see the. I'm kind of have a bit of an adventure here too myself. There's something that I learned in order to record a Skype call on audio only. One of the things that you run into is that you either use software, which like e-camera, e-call recorder or something. There's several different ones, but you're using resources on the same machine that you're doing the Skype call on. I'm not a big fan of that with, what I've got going here. So what I did was, what normally you would have to do would be to buy a mixer that is, say, $250 to $300 American. And then that has enough of the plugins, the aux sends or whatever it is you have to do a mix minus, so that I'm not sending it back to you, and you have the echo and all that stuff. But there is a specific, and I've watched 3 or 4 videos from different people on this. There's a specific hack, I guess you would say, specifically because I have this microphone.
Oh, okay.
This is the AT2005 microphone, the ATR 2100. They're from Audio Technica, both of them are, and they're very similar. One's black, one's silver. And it's got an XLR connection on the back of it. It has the regular USB connection for the Skype call, and then it also has an earphone connector on it. Oh. So if you have this microphone and you have a digital audio recorder, such as the Zoom H5 that I have sitting here, then you can run, I'm doing a local copy of my own audio, and I'm doing your audio coming over the Skype connection. And then what I'm hearing, I'm actually have the earphones plugged into the recorder, and I'm hearing exactly what I'm getting on the recorder because the audio is also coming out of the microphone and going into the thing, and that's yours. And then mine's coming out. So, and then the Skype call is completely independent with the USB, which can operate all at the same time. And so it's, I'm looking at the meter here, and I am getting some noise over the Skype connection that I can hear in the headphones, but it'll be interesting to see what it is. But what I didn't get on Blab, I got a single track. So if there was any difference between our audio, that I had to, try to level it as best I could with software. This is giving me 2 completely separate tracks. But they're synced up, but there's 2 completely separate tracks of audio coming across.
That was another thing with the upgrade for Wirecast. In the number 7, it has that mix minus built in, so I'm not too sure. But nice. So this one, you have to do that something with a mixer already on this one. But on the next version, I think I could have monitored the sound through here without that delay because of that. And I think that's all to do with that NDI type thing. And so what I'm hoping for, that's what I was really hoping this worked, because I thought I like using the Wirecast and doing that, but I'll invest in it if I'm using it. So there's nothing worse than, like, we started not using it on Blab, didn't we? We started because it was hard to get in. But if with this one, and the thing is with the streaming on YouTube, you can't do that unless you do use a Wirecast type thing, because you have that set up in the streaming thing. So all I'd have to do is hit stream, and then what that does, it just starts up you set up all your YouTube settings in there, and it just starts up the stream, and then you just go in once it's produced it and just name the file, I think, a little bit better. But the great thing with that is all you do is when you finish the stream, well, it stops. Of course, it stops the record. It stops the stops the stream, so it cuts that down, and then you've just got the little thing next to it to start the recording. So I've always got to remember, when you stop the recording, make sure everybody's stopped speaking for at least 30 to 60 seconds, because it does the same thing. What the recording is recording what you're seeing on YouTube, so you know how we're about 60 seconds behind. If I hit stop now, well, we've got 60 seconds before I said now. And so if you cut off the goodbye, so you say goodbye everybody and do all that, finish, wait, and wait and wait and wait. then stop the recording, because I've seen too many people cut themselves off on that. But
and then whenever that shuts off, they're going.
yeah, that's right. So, but this is exactly what I did. You know, when I was doing a few of those tests before we started the show on the Blab, that's what I used to do. Just stream a couple of minutes of that on YouTube. And that, but as I said, you'll notice quite a huge difference in quality, because Blab had just a 480p thing now, but we're on a 1080, probably on our 720. I think we're on a 720p connection.
Nice.
So, and then we've got the full screen as that. But when you're monitoring it, that's the only problem is I'm looking into the camera, but I'm not looking at you. I'm looking away from me. I don't know what you see on on your Skype. You probably just see the side of my head.
Well, I'm seeing that, but what I have is the I have the Skype in a smaller screen in the middle of the screen with your face on the left, and then I can see the monitor in the lower right of the Skype call. But then I've got it overlaid with the YouTube live stream with the volume turned down.
There's no comments on there, is there? There's nothing coming up on there?
No, nothing yet. Like you say, the time of the day I don't think anybody will be there, but United States, it's a little early. It's still just now almost 7 o'clock, but the people are just now getting up and probably going to work or whatever. People out on the West Coast, it's 4 in the morning?
Yeah, 3:53. 3:53.
So. Yeah, so anyway, it's going to be a little different thing. Did you all do anything, what you guys do on Tech Down Over this week?
What we did this week was excellent. It was, we had Anthony Artis on there. I don't know, do you know him? I don't know if you know. He's at the New York Film School, and he teaches video and video techniques, and I was so pleased to have him on. He reminds me of... This is what he reminds me of Lou Gossett Jr., a younger version of Lou Gossett Jr.
Okay, wait a minute. I did go on, and I was watching that downstairs on the television.
Oh, okay.
Earlier this week. Yeah, I know you're talking about. I love that guy. He was really cool. I mean, he just kind of down to earth, regular kind of a guy. Like, let's get out there and get it done.
And one of the things that I said on the show as well, and what's true about it, one of the things I've learnt from him, and it sticks with me every time, is when I'm doing any filming, and if you're doing, like, if I was filming you and was talking and said, I've got to film you, Jeffrey, there, and once you finish, I said, just finish and be quiet, and I just film you there, and just the ambient noise for about 30 to 60 seconds. Because what happens most of the time, we forgot to do that. So yes, you've still got the skeleton in the background. It's the same scene. We can record you again, but we come back tomorrow and we record you, and then we go back to the studio and we find out, hey, it was very quiet last night. The other night it was a bit noisier. Whereas if you do the ambient noise, you can put, because even if it's got the air conditioning or not, you can put that noise back into the background. So that's one thing I learned very much, just always. And also one of the things you can do is say, if you film like yourself there, if you've got the person there, say film them just there, and just film quietly for a moment, and then get them to start, so you can get the scene. And if you want to cut out like the microphone, so you can have the microphone stuck through the shot. But if you do that, you can do them out. So if you get them out of shot, just have the shot of the set there and do a mask, and it cuts out the microphone, so you don't have to be so precious with the microphone. But I've learned, and I did not realise until he came on the show that he did about 4 more lynda.com sessions on there, and I'm going to get his book. He's got a book out there. It's just Shut Up and Shoot. I just love the title. Yeah. But the thing is, I like with him, it's got nothing to do with fancy cameras and all that. Yes, you can have your fancy, but it's just what you do with them and how, and just when you've got people, don't be afraid to make a point of putting on the microphone correctly, the lavalier, because some people, you'll see them, it's dangling, because they're a bit too afraid to say, now I want you to tuck it in, and it looks really unprofessional if you see the cord dangling out the front, and just hook it up and do it round, and just learn how to say, excuse me, do you mind doing this? I don't want to do. Can you do that? Because you don't want to start invading people's personal space. But and hopefully he'll come back on. He said he will do. But I like talking to people that know their stuff inside out, and that they're not just teaching it because they want to teach it and they know a little bit about it, but they just know everything they're talking about. And it was just such a good fun show on that. So I'm really glad he did join us on that.
So with the personal experience they have, that's what they're imparting to you, not just the textbook knowledge. Well, you have to have this camera and you have to have these settings or whatever. No, I mean, they've done it, they've lived it, and so then they can actually give you the real experience of it, not just giving you some academic things, things like that. So like they're real people.
and like we were saying, like when you're doing an interview, things, it wasn't just, yes, you got a lovely shot, a nice in focus shot of the person, but give some thought to what's in the background so you can move around and just see it. Or you might get some B-roll, but as I said, set it up because you might not always want to be seeing them. And as I said, and then have two cameras and film them, the hands or things like that. So you've got some cutaways to do that, but always have at least two cameras when you're doing an interview. Because if they're just doing the same shot, and I know you've probably seen it on YouTube, and everybody's got that idea where they're all doing the interview and they're all talking away from the camera and but that's become a bit old-fashioned now. So it's a thing now to talk into the camera to make it a bit more personal, but then still have that cutaway shot as well. But it's just having something to do it with, I suppose.
No, it's like you say, I really enjoyed watching it, and I really liked him as a person. The fact that he was so easy to get along with. I mean, he didn't think he was high and mighty, and I'm going to teach you something. It was like, hey, come on with me, let's do this. That's just the way he felt. What I did this week, I helped a friend of mine launch his podcast. It started on the 15th on Monday. It was he started with 3 episodes, and what's interesting is that really shocked me was there's been several people that I work with, people that know me, they know I'm the podcasting guy. I've been doing it for a couple of years, and so people come to me to ask me questions about it and everything. And so he and I have been talking about it for the last couple of months. He launched, but it was so easy working with him because you would tell him something and he would just remember it and he would get it. I mean, he didn't have any experience with studio recording, but he had been in a band and he knew more about, stage sound and things like that. But there's articles on my site involving, sound treatment of your podcasting space, my gear page, things like that. And he went on there and read all that stuff and just took it to heart. And when he was here, remember, he's the guy that he came here and played, the guitar in my sound booth. Yes, that's right.
That was excellent, wasn't it? That was excellent sound.
Oh, it was. And he used his own music for, original music for his show. And once, just while he was here, just about a half an hour or so tutorial on Audacity, and I showed him how to do auto ducking, where the music automatically goes down when you start to talk and things like that. And I mean, just mentioning it at one time and giving him an example of it while he was here, it sounds professional. The sound he's getting, he took some, some of the sound foam that you get.
Oh, yes.
Like you can see it behind me there on the door. And he has a hutch behind his microphone. He has a similar microphone to this one, and just put it in the hutch. And he has another one he lays on his laptop, and then he does the episode just right there. And it sounds phenomenal. Oh. It's excellent sound. And he has three episodes, and then I did a voiceover for him at the end, with the housekeeping at the end of it. And the music kind of fades in while he's finishing up, and then there's this little break in the music, and then it was just part of the natural cadence of what he was playing. Then the music starts again, and then my voiceover starts, and it finishes, and the music is it's very professional sounding. It's just cool when somebody gets it, It
was just like it was just like what you were saying with the audio. I think that was another thing that probably killed Blab. Was I don't know if you can. Let's see if this works on this without killing us both. But let's see. This is probably what killed Blab. Let's see. Listen.
Smith was on episode 11 of the Geoff and Jeffrey Show. Jeffrey was saying all those wonderful things
can't
about
hear
me.
you
So
now.
I was like, yeah, I'm a big time smarty pants.
The audience can.
Yeah, social media, blogging, and YouTube.
Podcasting.
Yeah, and so Jeffrey been telling me about you guys' show, and this is the first time I've been able to join, so I'm honored to be here.
You can find this episode at holbrooknewmedia.com/smartypants. holbrooknewmedia.com/smartypants. Ms. Eileen Smith was on episode 11 of the Geoff and Jeffrey
anyway,
Show.
but what it was your thing with Eileen on there. But that's the thing, we've got to get this sorted with this, because that's the thing, is whatever I play, I probably could have heard if I put my headphones in, but I've I left the headphones out on that. But you can put them into the Blab. But that was another thing. You went to all that trouble doing that lovely sort of promo for Blab. Well, you've got to do one for us, though. You've got to. Well, that wasn't for Blab. It was for us, though, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was for us on episode 11, and then what I told him to come to was I actually did a short link on my website that has your it has the audio and my show notes and your video embedded on that at that point whenever you do it, and so it was holbrooknewmedia.com/smartypants.
I still get a laugh out of that. Yes.
It'll all be there whenever they get there. So it was pretty cool. The guy who started the new podcast I was telling you about, if anybody wants to go see that, it's a Christian ministry type of podcast, and it's remnantbiblefellowship.libsyn.com, and he's going to be expanding and doing more website-y stuff, and he's already starting a separate blog to put the show notes on and everything. But anyway, it's really gratifying whenever somebody gets it and puts out such a professional product on the first, the first episode just sounds great. I was really shocked. Sounded better than my first episode.
So when you went to Jeffrey, when you went to YouTube to see our stream, where did you find that? Just on the
well, what happened was just on your main page. I'm still watching it. I still have it on my screen, and it just says that you're live streaming, and then you click on that just like you would a video, and then it takes you to the place where the live streaming is going on.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I can.
And so I've just had that in the middle of the.
So yours will work. Maybe it just doesn't work for me because I'm the one broadcasting. So maybe I can't see it because it says sorry about that processing archive. Please check back later. So maybe that's just something I shouldn't be able to do. So.
I'm wondering if my audio recording on this end is going to work so well, because I'm doing a local recording of my own voice, but I'm getting quite a bit of, since I'm not getting necessarily a quality audio stream coming from you.
Yes.
Because it's going into the recording.
You might have to go back into YouTube and download. I don't know if you can, because I think if I allow you to download it, you can download the YouTube,
or you could give me what you have, and then I could just rip the audio out of the thing. I was hoping I could get a good recording on this end, although
that's what I'll do. I'll give, because I'm recording the stream now, so I can just drop that into the Dropbox, so you can. Because I'm hoping
what we were doing anyway.
I'll just have a feeling though maybe our audio might be a bit too loud. It's not peaking, but I'm just hopefully it's not.
Mine's actually a little lower here.
I thought mine was, but I always panic when it's too low. But even when it's low, it seems to come up very good on YouTube when you're streaming. But it's not peaking unless I yell, and then it will do. But because the thing is when I go on through all my lovely mixes with all my lovely microphones, on this one I can only get a single channel. But when I'm on this connection with just through the USB to XLR adapter, I get the stereo. Which is very strange, and so I get a much better quality sound without going through all the other things. But and I think that's one of the things that's fixed up through Wirecast 7. So that will be interesting to see. So
are you doing a separate audio recording as well, or just a separate video?
Just the video, total video. So an MP4 that will just record for it. So it'll be ready straight away after the show.
And then I'm on one channel and you're on the other side of the stereo?
No, we're both together, so.
Okay.
So you can't get rid of me that way. You can't just say, just have me.
Well,
what I
thought was, since I'm doing a local recording on me, it's going to be the best I could get, and then if I could get only you, then I could sync it up. And
I think,
but no,
I think it should be okay, because the meters seem to be going.
Right.
They're not sort of just a little bit. They're going quite well, and with the delay, it's not that bad. The delay, because with Rick and I, when we do Tech Down Over, it's sort of thing that when he starts talking and then it stops, and then I start talking and he starts talking again because he thinks there's nothing happening, and then it gets a bit funny. But don't seem to be having that problem, do we? We're just a second out, but.
Well, we've done really well in that regard. I mean, I've watched just from the beginning. We've talked over each other a little bit, and I know from doing the audio editing on them, there's been a couple of times, maybe in 15 shows, to where we go,
because it's not we talk over, but we both say at the same time. So okay, you go, because that.
Yeah. It's only happened a couple of times, maybe 3 times or so that I've had to cut out a section like that before. But it's one of the things that's going on too with your with the Tech Down Over. There's more than 2 people in it, so it multiplies when you add 3 or 4 people.
Yes.
All of a sudden, nobody knows who's going to talk next, and you don't want to be impolite.
No.
So you just kind of wait, and then everybody kind of waits.
And, but one of the first things we tell the guests before we do is says, you won't hear the intro, you won't hear the extra, so just keep quiet. Don't say, have we started yet? Because people will hear you saying that. And the other thing is that please don't think I'm being rude, but the explains it says, but I hear a quiet spot, and then I start saying something, then they're speaking, and I happen to be talking over them. But there's got to be some way of, that'd be a good thing, a way of indicating how you do it, rather than saying something like this and say, over?
Tower to pilot.
That's right, but there must be
over.
Something.
Roger, over.
There must be something to do. Well, I know one of the fellows, one of the ones on the TV things on the current affair here, his symbol was always like this. And he just used to do his ear, and then that would say your go. Sort of, he always used to but his main thing was, get me out of here, take the shot off me. That was his thing. So I had to laugh. I don't know if you're watching the show, was one of Rick's shows was he was teaching somebody else to switch the shots, so he had somebody pressing the button. So like we're talking, there's a 2-shot, but then if the guest had something really great to say, that should go into the one big shot, and just the guest or that. And, I could see him go, reaching over to now. It was ever so fun. I've just lost you there.
Well, one of the things that I think's going to work out is where you're doing everything on the video side of what's happening. You are basically the director, and we used to do a lot of recording studio work when we had our family band growing up, and so I'm used to being directed. And I mean, if it's time to be quiet, wait for it. I'm used to that type of direction, and so you're the one that knows what's going on your end. You tell me to shut up, I just shut up.
Well, what I can do is let's see if I can do this one here. Let's see what I can do. If I can do what I can do on there, if I get it right, I think I can do this right. So. Oh, I've just cancelled it out now. I did have it right. Revert desktop presenter. Oh, I've just got to add a shot. That's probably what it is. I'm just trying to figure out on the run so I can give you that's what it is. I've just got to put a video shot in of you. If I can figure out how to do it, but I won't do it on the fly. But then I can do when you're speaking, I could put you on the big screen, and that's one of the other functions of Wirecast 7. On this Wirecast 6, when I'm in the program, when I've got the program clicked, I can put a shortcut key. So and it'll auto switch. So if I press 1, it'll go to shot 1, 2, 3, 4. But if I click off to somewhere else, 1 doesn't do that anymore. It becomes paste. So I've got to click back in there. Whereas the new version of Wirecast, those shortcut keys are global, so you can set so if you can hold a shift and 1, no matter where you are, it will go to that shot. So if you happen to be looking at a video you can still press 1 and get back. You don't have to highlight the program and get back to that one. So I'm just trying to figure out why I can't get the remote desktop. Oh, that's why, because it's down the bottom, isn't it? It's
But I am totally impressed with the video wizardry, since that's kind of out of my wheelhouse. Like I said, the audio is me, but I really I enjoy watching the Tech Down Over, because I'm really enjoying watching the switching, and all of a sudden it'll go completely to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's sitting there with his microphone, then it'll go, and you're in the box, and you and somebody else is in the box, and all of a sudden it'll go completely to you, and then switching back and forth like that. Well,
that's what I'll do that next week, because I can do that. So I can say when you start getting onto a rant, I can put you on full screen, but I didn't go to too much trouble, because I was quite confident it wouldn't work. So I really didn't think we would have pulled it off tonight, to be quite honest. I thought we was just going to have a chat on Skype by itself. So we've been going. We're at about 40 minutes, and that's so far on this. So that's good, because we didn't start until a bit late, because we're messing around for 20 minutes.
It was after 6:30 whenever we started, actually.
Yeah, so we usually start at 6, don't we? So.
Yeah, but like you say, it was that was fine. I mean, we got kicked out of Blab, and so we were just kind of like orphans. So we we have to find our own place to live now. But I'm really looking at the YouTube stream. We look so much better. It is so much clearer on here.
And I keep looking at my screen, because what I'm outputting, but it's not a very true representation, because what we're looking at I'm monitoring it. I'm on a 27-inch monitor, and I've blown it up, but it's not actually what it's looking like on the screen. But on the other screen, it looks quite good. But this is good enough to have so you can see what we are putting out. And I might get myself another webcam, and I put that from there, and I can put it a bit closer, so I can still have the computer sat away, so I don't have to have the camera pointing to it. But even then, that wasn't too bad, isn't it? When you can see the computer and that, so that might make it easier and that. So I've just got to remember, stop whenever you touch there. Your Skype things come down the bottom as well. So I just had to remember. So if I click onto you somewhere there, I think, there's somewhere where we get little Geoff in there somewhere, and I don't know what that is. See, I don't know. I'm moving you around. See.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you got to watch.
Yeah, you see all this extra cords sticking out of the back of my microphone.
Yeah, because there's because I'm using the full screen, so I've got the full screen of the Dell laptop going through the Mac. So I'm quite impressed with that I'm using the window. You're on the Windows machine, and I'm on the Mac machine. So.
Okay.
So that's really excellent. So what we're going to do next week to thrill the audience?
Oh, yeah, they'll just have to wait and see, and come back and see just how cool we are.
Well, I mean, it actually will open up the things a bit, because we can do something slightly different, because you can show things. So we could, I could do a section outside, film a section, because you could do that and say, whereas before it wasn't worthwhile doing, because even on Blab you could only show your little screen, whereas we can show the true video up on there. And if we've done it ourselves, there's no problem with copyright and that on there. So just got to watch YouTube. Sometimes they do put a thing like, they'll say that like the music for our theme tune, but that is I've got all the rights from video and audio blocks. That's where it comes from. But sometimes it matches up to somebody else's, and they block you. But then you've just got to say, well, no, I do have the things, and then they unblock it. But I think it's just the automated system that does that. But I still don't understand how some people can get these whole movies up on YouTube. It's clearly in violation of the copyright. And if I put something on that's remotely sounds like a song that might be copyrightable, they ban you or shut you down. I don't know why.
A few years ago, I put a a video up, and it actually used a totally copyrighted song with John Denver, and was kind of doing some screen shots of some of my photography, and it was very appropriate for what was going on. And the only thing that happened back then was it was banned in Belgium or something.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, they didn't ban the video is still on there, and this is on another channel. The video is still on there, and and again, I wasn't paying any attention. This was way back when, but it was funny. All of a sudden, I got this notice that I was banned in Belgium. I'm almost positive it was Belgium, but it stayed on there, and everybody else seemed happy.
Oh, well,
with
who cares? Oh, yeah, you said it banned in Belgium. That's fine. Because probably can't understand you.
Well, I actually gave John Denver credit on the screen.
Yeah.
It was like sunshine on my shoulders, John Denver, Yeah. And, I put that on the screen when the music started. And, again, I wasn't thinking about anything at the time. I was before I was podcasting. And so it's kind of like, yeah, sorry, John. But it's, I gave him credit for it and then just played it and did the photography and stuff. And so it's kind of like, okay.
And one of the great things with this Wirecast, I can have the iPad set up, and it does it remotely on the network, so it will do like a wireless camera. So I can have that set up somewhere else and go to that. Not that I don't know why I would. I was thinking of going to the keyboard and do my rendition of "Take Me Home, Country Road." John.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Because it just should be our theme tune, but I'm always scared that you get done for copyright. But as I said, everybody else plays their musical instruments and sings and that on there. But I thought that would shock people. So
yeah. That'd be good. So you play a keyboard, do you?
Yes. So
all right. Well, at least I have been a bass player before I got too arthritic. I haven't actually tried to play for a long time. But we ought to. Of course, we can't do it because of a delay, I'm sure. But it'd be kind of interesting if we could play our own song.
Well, I'll put one of the next week. One of the ones I played on there, and I'll never get into trouble for playing that.
Okay.
Because it's a Star Spangled Banner, so you can't never get into trouble. Nobody will sue you for copyright for doing that in America, would they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because I'm sure the national anthem's fair go anything. But even then, I've played it, so I'm sure I'm allowed to do that. So.
Well, it was written like back in 1812. Right in that area somewhere, 1814 something. And so it should not be any problem at all.
But I'm sure it's the sort of thing, though. I can't see it's your national anthem. I can't see a company would look fairly horrible if they sue somebody for singing the national anthem.
President Obama just did an executive order yesterday banning the Pledge of Allegiance in any type of federal setting in schools and things like that. He said if they actually have kids to recite it in schools, that he'll withdraw their funding.
Oh, why is that? So.
There's he had several objections to it. Of course, there's always been the objection where it says "one nation under God." There's been objections like that, but and I figured he would just stop with that, but he didn't. He even said he took umbrage with liberty and justice for all.
Oh.
And said it was because there were so many people, that don't have liberty and justice, and mentioned specific minority groups and things like that.
I know how to make it nice and easily. Just say, I pledge allegiance. That's it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, he basically doesn't want any
pledging.
You don't want to tell anybody. It basically made it feel like, in his own statement, it made it feel like that it's really not a country to be proud of or to pledge to, or you shouldn't be forced to care about your country, is what it sounded like to me.
Seems strange because
just what he said.
It's strange. What I always known about America, that would be one of the things that you would want to do, wouldn't it be? Anyway.
Well, we actually went back, and my wife and I went back and read the history of it, and it didn't have "under God" in it originally, but the pledge would come up after the Civil War. Later, like in the it was over in 1865, so around 1880, or something like that. They just did this pledge for the schools, and it originally didn't say even the United States of America. It says I pledge allegiance to my flag, you know, or for my flag or whatever. And, you know, of whatever country you were from, it was basically for young people to pledge to their. But then they began to later on, they began to change it in Congress and stuff, saying that, you know, it was kind of ambiguous. And as so many immigrants came in that they didn't know which flag they were pledging to, the children didn't. So they went ahead and said the United States of America. And then the under God stuff was added after World War II, whenever all the communist, ungodly communist menace, you know, and all that. And so they added under God then. And the Supreme Court recently, just in this past year at some point, ruled that unanimously that under God is not an overtly religious thing. It is just talking about tradition. I mean, we've got stuff talking about God on our government buildings, the old edifices and stuff, and scriptures and different things, you know. And so, you know, that it wasn't an overtly religious, in your face, this specific religion we're pushing. It was just tradition, you know, and unanimously in the Supreme Court. So now the president, though, has declared that it is inappropriate. And, I mean, not just the under God, but he 2 or 3 or 4 of the phrases, he just said, no, we're just not going to do this. And he said nobody's allowed to do it. And anybody who has children to do it can be fined $10,000 or maybe spend a year in jail or something.
Oh,
I mean, it's an executive order. So basically all the things that it's about, I mean, all the things that are in the pledge, he objected to.
Hey, and you're going to...
So basically, I mean, it isn't the country he was describing. I don't know that country.
You're going to object. You're going to object to something else when you look at the show.
What would that be?
I've spelt Holbrook wrong. I'll put an extra O in. I put Holbrook.
Holbrook,
because I did that on the fly, and I thought
that's all right. Just we'll just leave it. No, the thing that I checked on to see if you spelled correctly was my first name. Yeah. Because most people put Jeffrey instead of Jeffrey. That's
what I just checked, just because I thought I don't. I thought I put Jeffrey, but I thought. Did I put Jeffrey? Because I thought nobody has Jeffrey, but I thought, yeah, because everybody does mine Jeffrey, E-R-Y. It's Jeff Fry, and then somebody says Jeff Fry with a Geoffry. They don't put the E in, Jeff Fry. So I said,
oh, okay, Jeff Fry. Yeah.
And no, what I say now to people is Jeff with a PH, Geophh, Jeff.
Geoff. Yeah,
because I said that's to be different anyway. But I'll just.
Well, definitely.
I'm sorry I spelt your name wrong, but it's been there the whole show now. So.
Oh, that's entirely fine.
At least it's on the right person. At least it's not Holbrook on Jeffrey and Blanchard on you. So at least it's on the right person. So.
Yeah, at least they'll figure out which one we are. No, the spellings that come in through the mail once computers get a hold of your name.
Mm-hmm.
There's of course they put an E on the end of my name, HOLEBROOKE. Holybrook. I've actually seen HOLYBROOK. I mean, just all kinds of really, really funny spellings, and you just get used to it. And once a computer gets a hold of it, you'll start getting all kinds of, I hate to use the word junk mail, but you'll start getting where they sell your name to these different companies. And you can see the path it followed as that particular spelling of your name cycles through different companies, and then they start sending you mail.
Now, see, this is how good I can see if I can do this good now. And changed it. If you see, it's just changed to Holbrook now with one O.
Oh, okay.
So I've just changed it now. So I did on the fly. So.
Okay, now I'm watching on the live stream. I'll tell you when it changes on there.
Just check.
Okay, wait a minute. It's still we're looking at it, and you're concentrating. Oh, there I go at, and then I can see your triumph.
It's what they say: little things please little minds.
No, I'm serious. The simple things are the best. I mean, it's like
I'm just thinking about what we used to think about 30 years ago, when just to have something, when people pretended to make these video calls, because people didn't even think that technology, but they just even made up this thing. Look, I'm using it, and that was sort of like having a spaceship or something, wasn't it? But now everybody's got that technology, and this sort of thing was would have cost some hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a broadcast like this, wouldn't it? And not as good a quality as this,
exactly.
And not with as much facility. When they'd have had 15 people to even just switch all the things so they could do the audio and all that. It's just quite incredible. I'm just scared to think what will it be like in another 10 years. I know what it will be, where we'll just have to just press a button on the side of a head and we'll just start broadcasting.
Oh yeah, just kind of tap and it's like, or plug in like some of those movies they're just jacking in. They're plugging in their back of their neck. Then you have this virtual reality.
You're just thinking of, see, Vincent Price had that years ago. Remember him? The Incredible Dr. Forbes, was it? And
I haven't seen that one, but yeah, no.
He was all disfigured, and his mouth couldn't move, and so he used to plug the headphone socket into the back of his head and talk through that, plug it into the hi-fi. That's how he talked. And I thought they were creepy films. I tell you, I know they're corny, all the film sets and that, but they were really good back in the day. He did some really scary films, that Vincent Price.
Yeah, he's on Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Vincent Price doing the voice.
That's right. Yeah,
that.
That's why I like that. Was probably the last thing he probably did, was it? So
it was very, very close because he died wasn't too long after that. But it's funny hearing him say unfamiliar words, and whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down.
Yes,
the way he was saying the things, it was completely unfamiliar words.
I'll never forget that. You said you'll never forget those words out of Thriller, will you? But he just did it so well. I thought,
oh yeah, just great. He had one of the great voices.
But even then, Michael Jackson was just so talented to come up with things like that. So there weren't just songs that were sort of like a whole sort of like little mini movies like that Thriller film clip. In its time, it cost a fortune, but it was nothing compared to what they do these days, is it? But it was the first movie film clip, wasn't it? So I remember getting my first. It was a beta video recorder, stereo, hi-fi stereo, and there was a copy of the Thrill, and just having that through the stereo, I thought, oh, that was fantastic, and just the music quality, and then they had the big laser, what was it, the 12-inch laser discs. And they didn't last 5 minutes.
I remember seeing those. We never had one.
Me neither, but they never lasted very long because you get these movies that are excellent quality, but the movies used to cost about $120 a piece, I think, on the
right.
And then that was even before videos became popular, wasn't it? When they were out, and then video killed everything because
exactly. I mean, I remember. Even just with audio, back when I was in the 8th grade, I was, 13, 14. And our family band did a recording in a 16-track recording studio. I think it was a 16-track. And it was all on tape, the real thick, heavy tape. And we did that. And I mean, the thousands and thousands of dollars that the equipment costs, a big old mixing console, about the size of a table. I mean, and you're doing all this stuff, and you have, of course, they have some sound treatment in the room, and you're all, set up. But now you can do that same type of stuff right here. I mean, if I could fit a band in this room, I could use this recorder that I have right here.
And it's just that
I'm recording us on.
Little thing. It's just and
it's just handheld. It's only about this big, and it's just handheld.
And you don't even have to. As I said, the inbuilt microphones that's on them do an excellent job. You don't have to have an external one on them, but it's just fantastic how it goes.
But it's a way better quality of recording than what those big studios have. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, but as I said, that's where there's so much content. There's just so much out there these days. Like people say, there's so much rubbish out there. I said, yeah, because there's thousands and thousands of times more content out there for people to choose from. But it's quite amazing at the content people choose. Is we no longer crave for these $100 million productions. It's excellent. Would much prefer watching somebody stuff up like us doing a silly one, but just talk. But I'd much prefer see somebody I learnt something the other day that I never knew. Like I never knew that Cincinnati and just across the river was Kentucky. Like, just there's a river in the middle of the city, and on one side is Kentucky, and one side Cincinnati. But I mean, from that, just a little YouTube, like, I would have never known that, because if you don't live there.
Yeah, it's, I can probably give you the zip codes for that area. That would be like 450, 452 for Cincinnati, and directly across the river is like the 410 zip codes.
You're just showing your postal service expertise.
Oh, yeah. Well, my daughter lives in Jeffersonville, Indiana. That's where we did the show a couple weeks ago. And it is right directly across from Louisville. And so Louisville, Kentucky is like the zip code's like 402. And then this is 471. And if it was, not across the river, it will be part of Louisville instead of in Indiana, the other state.
But that's what we get. Why we find that fascinating is because with America, there's so many places there, but like our states and cities, well, the hundreds of, like here from here to New South Wales, it's 700 kilometres to the border. So there's there's no major city on the borders there. There's always a city. Then there's about the only one would be Queensland, whereas Brisbane's just a little bit off the border of New South Wales. But there's no main city. It's not like Sydney's on the border of Queensland where you can just walk across there. But that's what we find strange, and like the other one on the other side of the country. To me, the state that I'm in, the longest I could drive and still stay in the state would probably be about 3 hours of driving. Oh, okay.
I mean, but I can be out of the state in probably about 45 minutes. And I'm fairly centrally located in the southern part of the state. And so, but within really, I mean, I would have to drive north and then go up through this panhandle, really thin part at the top of West Virginia. And I mean, in order to stay in the state, and it's possible, actually, I've been on that road before, and you do pop in and out of the state as you go up. So it's hard to drive, if you drive 2 hours, you're going to be really pushing being outside of our state and, just another state right nearby. So, you just get used to it that way. One of the things I found funny is in Europe, they move from country to country the way we move from state to state, it seems.
Well, I suppose you can, but that's with I suppose that's what they're trying to stop in the European Union now. They don't like that, do they? Like England don't anyway. They say, well, everybody can just uproot and from Germany or whatever and go and live in England, or from England and live in France. So I don't think the countries are quite liking that too much, as they've got they want a few bits of border control and that. But that's what you have when it's just one sort of big society type thing. Anyway, we've come to our hour. We're over our hour recording, so we'll try and stick to that. So now we know we can do it. I'm really excited, and hey, if I could figure out how to get a third person in here without that, that might even be another one. I don't know if I could figure that one. I can't unless I get another. I'd have to have another laptop though, I think, with another Skype connection on it. Okay. So with another one, I could do that, but I'd need another laptop, but I don't think I'd have the bandwidth. Well, that's fine as long as I've got one there. So what I'll do, I'll say thank you everybody for watching, and please subscribe. And as I said, there'll be hopefully just as much interesting conversation as we had this week. Well, if you thought this was boring, well, don't bother for next week, because it's going to be pretty much the same as well on here. But we're trying to spice it up. We're going to try and put some extra things on there. So we'll try now if we've got this, because at least Blab sort of was doing it every week, just normal. But it's actually good for. I'm quite glad it's actually happened, because it pushed us to try something that we never had the time to do. We thought, oh no, we'll just do the normal show. It's fine.
Well, the main thing I learned now that I can do a Skype interview now with the equipment that I have on hand, without having to put a few $100 more into it. I've got the setup and it works right here.
Yep, and you can do with just Skype as well, and you can just do the recording. Anyway, thank you for watching, and bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening. Links for a free subscription, feedback, and everything else we do is at holbrooknewmedia.com. You can find all things Geoff Blanchard at geoffblanchard.com.